Now, all of this is playing out at a time when we are supposed to celebrate National School Choice Week. Did you know that? National School Choice Week is happening right now across the country, 26,000 events spanning all 50 states. And here in California, you need to know that we are not shortchanging our education in terms of what we're spending. Governor Gavin Newsom has a budget proposal for $119 billion in education spending for local, state, and federal sources. Per pupil spending in California, you ready for this? Per pupil spending in California for public education is $20,855 per year. It's the most expensive outlay in the United States. It's one of the highest spending states in the entire country. Now, when you take a look at that versus private schools or charter schools and private schools are offering better education at a far lower cost per unit. And we take a look at school choice. In 2021, polling done by EdChoice showed that 90% of charter school parents were satisfied with their children's schooling. That compared to only 78% of public school district school parents. Overall, public support for charter schools is at a supermajority 68% rate. And it's not just overall numbers that you have to look at. Remember, the left pretends like they are woke and that therefore minorities and low-income students. Well, according to the most recent data, 68.7% of charter school students and 52.4% of district school students are students of color. In other words, charter school students have a much higher percentage of minority students than the general school districts for public schools. More importantly, for economically disadvantaged, charter school students have a 10% higher economically disadvantaged status than their counterparts in regular public schools. This is all according to the National Alliance for Public Charter Schools. We are seeing in this state the worst of the worst when it comes to the poor quality of education in our schools. We've got not only schools that are missing the mark academically, but we have schools that are now implementing all sorts of crazy mandates that really disrespect and take away the rights of parents to make medical decisions for their children. These mandates are also not based on science or any reasonable interpretation thereof. This mandate for the vaccine, whether you're for or against it, is akin to mandating a flu shot for every student, or else they don't get to have an education. You know damn well that even you don't believe that everyone should be mandated as an adult to get a flu shot. Why would you mandate that for a child? Particularly knowing that the risk factor is so low. Now, one other thing to point out. In the midst of all of this, there is that toxic agenda. The sex ed curriculum, the critical race theory nonsense, the social agenda, the one-sided toxic political environment that the California school administrators have allowed to run rampant on the campuses for high school and elementary schools. That also is playing a role in more and more parents finally getting to the point of saying, enough is enough. We need reform. But you can say that you're going to reform a school district all you want, and we hope to do that with school board elections this year. But the best way to empower parents isn't just to elect a new school board. The best way to empower parents is to give them money, give them control, give them choice, and you'll see how fast those bureaucrats at the school district start taking notice and start listening. Coming up, there's a statewide campaign to give parents choice. We'll hear from Californians for School Choice next. First Traffic. Joining me on the Demaio Report is Michael Alexander. He is the head of Californians for School Choice. They've got a ballot initiative that they would like to appear on the November 2022 California statewide ballot. Michael, thanks for stopping by. So,
Well, Carl, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you. It's been a while since I've been on your show. I think last time you were doing the car tax.
That's right, the gas tax repeal. And so you know how hard this is going to be. First, let's start out with what your ballot measure does. Walk us through, if this thing gets passed, what will California parents be able to look forward to?
Yeah. First of all, basic reference point is our website, all spelled out, CaliforniaSchoolChoice.org. We're sponsoring the Education Freedom Act initiative, and it has 4 key features, Carl. Number 1, on the request of a parent or guardian, an education savings account, sometimes known as an ESA, will be created for any child wanting one. Number 2, that child's account will annually be credited with his share of basic California educational spending under Prop 98. And that starting amount will be $14,000 per year and adjusted upwards as basic funding increases. Number 3, the parents, not the school board, not the union or the zip code, can direct those funds to a participating accredited private or parochial religious school. And number 4, keep anything left over for college, vocational training, or other qualified educational expense. Very simple, applies to everyone, universal, just like current public education, and it will be absolutely revolutionary in its implications for the system.
I absolutely love it. Now, if a parent decides, okay, I want to take my money, I'm assuming that money would be debited from their local public school system. If the $14,000 would come out of the local public school system's budget and would go into the ESA that the parent would control for the child.
That's not exactly correct, and thank you for bringing it up. Because one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we immunized the system against was the idea that we would be taking money out of local education. In fact, it requires that the state separately fund the ESAs from general revenues as necessary.
Wait, so now, the public schools will end up keeping the money for that child, but not actually providing the service for that child, and then the state has to come up with the difference. So how are we going to come up with this magic money?
Well, number 1, there is, of course, a very large budgetary surplus in California right now. And as you know, Californians have never demonstrated any particular antipathy towards higher taxes or educational spending. So the legislature will have to fund it. But the good news is, and I want to return to the structure here a little bit.
Well, let me ask this question.
Well, here,
it doesn't require that the money come out of the public school system. But if the politicians in Sacramento look at their budget and realize, well, there's only so much money for education, there's nothing stopping those politicians from saying, all right, a portion of this we'll have to reduce from the school district as a penalty for being a bad school district.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. And,
so the money could come from the school district or not. I kind of want it to come from the school district, Michael, because I think a failing school district ought to feel the pain of losing a customer. I think they ought to easily see a customer walk out. Otherwise, they're not going to change their ways.
They will not, no. And this is one thing I think of which you and I are both agreed, and that is that the current public school system cannot and will not be reformed from the outside.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we can do as taxpayers except take our children, take our money, and go someplace else. Then the system will reform itself when it has to pay the price of its own ideology and its own failures. And they're already talking about changing funding formulas because they know that they're in trouble right now with
real quick, how do we get this on the ballot? Because obviously right now it's a theory, it's a great idea. Well, we need some million-plus signatures. How are we going to get this on the ballot? And what's the process? What is the status of signaturing?
First of all, we have leadership all over the state. You go to our website, CaliforniaSchoolChoice.org. You can sign up. We'll send you a petition. Within the next 24 hours, there will be a link up there where you can download and print a petition, sign it, get others to sign it, and return it to our headquarters.
It's CaliforniaSchoolChoice.org. How many signatures do you have, and how many more do you need?
Yeah, we're approaching 200,000. We're going to need 1 million. I don't even have a full count. There's so many signatures coming in.
And what's the deadline? What's the deadline?
Right now. Our deadline is April 11th.
April 11th. So we got 2.5 months. We got to pick up the pace.
A little over 60 days.
CaliforniaSchoolChoice.org is the website, CaliforniaSchoolChoice.org. I strongly encourage you to print off the petition, sign it, get a bunch of your friends to sign it, mail it in, and then also keep a bunch of copies and keep collecting signatures for the next 60 days. CaliforniaSchoolChoice.org. Contribute if you can, because they do need financial support. Michael, we're out of time. Thank you so much for stopping by. We need to get this thing on the ballot, and we need parents to get the ultimate say in where the education dollars flow.
Thank you, Carl, and thank you to all of your audience. Take care now.